The greedy gather for others to find. Geronda. There are two little brothers. The younger one gives, but the older one doesn't. The parents must teach the older child how sweet it is to give. If the older boy works on this, he'll become better and will have an even greater reward than the younger one who's giving by nature. Geronda. How can someone get rid of having a closed heart, of his difficulty in giving? Why are you stingy? I'll throw you out. Even with your obedience, for example, if you are in charge of hospitality, go receive a general blessing to be able to give. Don't you see how God Himself is so generous in giving His blessings to all? If someone does not become used to giving, he becomes used to stinginess, and then he has difficulty in giving. The greedy person becomes a kind of piggy bank, gathering for others to find, but he loses the joy of giving and of divine reward. Once I told a rich man, "Why do you hoard your money? You have no obligations. What will you do with the money?" "When I die, it will all remain here," he told me. But I told him, "I give you a blessing to take it all up there." "It will all remain here," he said again. "Let others take it when I am dead." "Of course the money will all stay here," I said to him. "But the point is for you to give it away with your own hands while you are still alive." There is no more foolish person than the greedy one, who constantly amazes money and lives in deprivation only to finally buy his way into hell with his hoarded money. He has lost it all because he doesn't give and loses himself with material things, and then he loses Jesus Christ. The miserly person becomes the laughing stock of others. There once was a rich landowner. He owned many fields in the country and apartments in Athens, but was very stingy. Once he prepared a large pot of bean soup for his workers in the fields, but it was very watery. In the past, field laborers worked from sunrise to sunset. At noon, when they stopped working to rest a little, the rich man poured the soup into a large pan, and the workers gathered around to have lunch. Sometimes they caught a bean in their spoon, and sometimes only some broth. One of the workers, who was a teaser, put down his spoon, stepped to the side, removed his shoes and socks, and pretended to climb into the soup pan. "Hey, what are you doing?" the others told him. "I was thinking of climbing into the pan to try and catch a bean." He told them with a smile. That's how stingy that landowner was. For this reason, it is 1,000 times better for one to be wasteful than miserly. Stinginess is an illness, Geronda, a very grave illness. If stinginess takes hold of a person, there is no greater illness. It is good to be thrifty, but one must be careful not to be gradually overcome by the spirit of stinginess. Geronda. Some people are so stingy they'll even deprive themselves of food. Only food. There was a rich merchant with a large variety store who used to slice flat matches into 3 parts so he wouldn't waste them. A very rich woman had a sulfur candle. By maintaining burning coals, she used the sulfur candle to light the fire so that she would not have to use a match. And she had houses, fields, and much property. I'm not saying that people should be wasteful, but at least an extravagant person will more readily give you something if you ask for it. If someone is mean, he will be too stingy to give it up. Once there were 2 housewives in the neighborhood discussing salads and vinegars, and one of them said, "I have very good vinegar." One day the other poor woman needed some vinegar and went to ask her neighbor for some. "Look here," the other said, "if I were to be giving it away, I would not have now this vinegar of 7 years. It is good to be thrifty, but also to share whatever we may have with those in need. Being thrifty does not mean being miserly. My father didn't hold on to any money. In Farasa, there was no hotel, but our home was like the town hotel. Whoever came to town would go to the president's house to stay. There he would be given food, someone would wash his feet, he'd be given clean socks to wear. Now I see that even in some shrines they have storage rooms filled with the donated vigil lamps, and they won't say, "We have plenty, don't give us any more." The ones they have certainly cannot be used or sold, and still they don't give them away. When someone begins to gather stuff, he becomes so tied up with his possessions that he is unable to give them away. But if someone stops gathering stuff and starts giving them away, then his heart will gather itself around Christ without even realizing it. It is not right for a widow not to have money to buy a yard of material to clothe her children. While I'm hoarding my money and my goods, how can I tolerate this? In my Kelevi I do not have dishes nor pot and pans. I have some little tin cans. I prefer to give away 500 drachmas to some student to help him go from one monastery to the next than to buy something for myself. If you do not gather, you have a blessing from God. When you give a blessing, you also receive a blessing. One blessing leads to another.